Hello, everyone. Welcome to the series of Conversation with Superhumans. In this series, we'll be having many guests from different spheres of life who have been able to take charge of their mind and body by making lifestyle modifications and by taking a holistic approach to health and life. And in this series, my first guest is a very special person who will be joining us from the US. She is a special educator. She teaches children with special needs, with multiple disorders. She has a very strong academic background in psychology, sociology, and neurological disorders. She is a very brave person, a very loving mother. She's a 3 times cancer survivor, and she's a fighter who has won the battle of life. And now she has turned into a passionate health and lifestyle coach. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mrs. Lakshmi Balasubramaniam. Hello, Lakshmi ji.
Hi, can you hear me? Am I
Yes, I
audible?
can. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, a very good evening to
How are
you.
you, Anu?
Very well. How are you?
Good evening. I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
And I'm really glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. Me too. I'm glad to share my experience with you all. So I'm looking forward to it.
Sure. So, Lakshmi ji, I would like you to start by telling us a little bit, a brief about your childhood and how did you spend, where did you spend, how did you grew up, and when was it the first time you realized that you had cancer?
Yeah. I grew up in a traditional vegetarian family. I was born in Korai Road, and both my grandparents, both set of grandparents owned lands, and they grew whatever they needed for their household, like vegetables, everything was procured and in a very ethical manner. And even they had their own restaurants. So my both my grandfathers, they used to run a hotel together, and they used to cook a lot at home, and or we knew what was going into our food and what we were eating, everything. We monitored, and the same thing with my mom and her siblings, and same thing with my dad too. So I grew in that environment where we practiced healthy lifestyle, um, you know right from getting up till going to sleep. What are the things that needs to be done? Everything was in place. And then as I grew up, it was time for me to get married, and I got married and went to the US. And I was looking forward to living my American dream, where I m- I got to be with my new husband. And since it was an arranged marriage, I did not know him from before, so all that was there. And plus a new place. And even though I used to um, take care of my household from the age of 16, um, going out and doing things was little challenging, because in the US you need to drive around. And being in California, the moment you step out of the house, it's the freeways and other things. So you need to know driving. Initially I used to go nearby places and get uh, groceries and stuff like that, but then you had to step up a little bit more. And that's what was happening. And the moment I came in, I got my work permit and stuff like that. So I applied for a job in a state owned facility, and I started working as a special ed teacher here too in the US. And once life started getting busy, um, you when you are busy with too many things, you like to take shortcuts, right? And things were easily available in the market. So what I used to do is I never used to cook frequently. A person who used to cook on a daily basis took shortcuts, and whatever was available in the market, I used to bring it home and keep it in the fridge, or cook for a few days and put it in the fridge and eat it, not knowing that once you do all these things, you compromise on the quality and the nature of it also. So, plus, when you are working, you're married, and there is a new lifestyle that comes up with everything, um, your stress level also increases. So, you know, I used to practice meditation, yoga, and everything before marriage. And what happened after marriage, I don't know. I stopped all that because morning I'll get up, brush my teeth, have my breakfast, and go to school, come back home by 3:30, and then get going with life. It was like that. So all the good practices that I've had before did not happen. So slowly, stress started creeping into my body, and I did not know how to handle. So all these things, I think it played a toll on my health, you know, which I realized, like, they say that cancer is a 10-year in the making. Like, when a person gets cancer, it's not a one-time thing. It's always a 10-year gap that is there. That's when I realized, when I went to the doctors and they told me about all these things. So um, at that point of time, it was okay, and I did not realize anything other than this. Um, so um, once I had my kids, then slowly years went by, and I had my daughters. And when I had my daughters, I quit my job. And that was when my husband, he told me, like, let's go back to India so that he has his old parents there, so we can take care of all of them. So let's go back. And at that time, I was very reluctant in going back also, because you have your own lifestyle, which is set, and you have a daughters, and you have your own routines. But I did not want to break that routine and go. I reluctantly joined him. But then, for each and every change that happens in our life, there there is something behind it. There is some reason behind each and every change. So that I realized after going there. So, we moved from California to Hyderabad in the year 2011. And in the year 2011, within 6 months of moving, I had heavy bleeding in my, uh, you know, you have just like the periods. It was going on for months together, and I used to wonder why this is happening. Previously, and they used to tell me that I had, the polyps in my uterus. And so what had happened was, the doctor told me um, that needs to be removed so that we can take care of this bleeding. So when I went for the checkup, she said that this can be removed by giving an injection, like, so that the polyps can be removed naturally. And when that did not happen, and they also noticed that my hemoglobin level was going down. So she said, it came to a point where the hemoglobin level went up to 5, which was very, very low. And that the doctors were my gynecologist was surprised that how come I did not get any giddiness or anything like that. No other symptoms were there other than this bleeding, and feeling tired because of the bleeding. I was just tired of changing the pads over and over again. And then when uh, then they did all the scans, and they said we need to remove the uterus and the ovary so that we can take care of this. So until everything got over, the surgery went off well. And in fact, my gynec's husband, who happens to be an oncosurgeon, he was the one who did the surgery. I did not know about it, but my husband was kept in the loop that this is going to happen. And even the day before the surgery, she hinted to me in certain ways, what if this turns out to be cancer? What would you think? I don't think so. She would just put in words like that. But then, as such, I was scared. With all this experience, it increased my anxiety even more. And when I finished my surgery and I was recuperating in my room, sudden dream, one day I had a dream, like, that somebody is knocking the door and I had cancer. That word cancer stuck to my head, like, and then suddenly I woke up. And when you wake up suddenly with so much fear, um, then I said, no, 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 this is just a dream. It cannot be. This is just, I'm dreaming something. This is not going to be. I kept telling myself these things repeatedly over and over again. And then what had happened was, then I slept,
But
and
somewhere the word
after a few
cancer
days,
got stuck to your mind.
yes, yeah, yeah, because I know my mom had cancer and she passed away because of cancer. And that had happened when I was in my teens. So all that had created a fear in me, because primarily myself and my brother, we both were the ones who were taking care of her in the hospital at that point of time too. Because I was going to school and I would go to the hospital, take care of her, and come back. So I've seen what was happening with her. So when that when I dreamt of that, I was so scared I would not even tell anybody. And then I was discharged. I went home, and after some days, we came back for a follow up. And it was then, at that point of time, before entering the doctor's office, my husband broke the news saying that I have cancer. And immediately I asked, what is the stage? I don't know why I asked that. All that I would know from my mother's experience was, it depends on the stage where you're caught. Even at that point of time, I did not know our mind and everything has the power to heal you. Nothing I knew. So I just did that. And outside the consultation room, my husband broke, and I was just literally crying. And I did not know what to do. I was angry. At the same time, I was feeling very sad. And sad in the sense, why me? What did I do to get this? I did not do anything wrong to anybody. All my life, I've done only things for people. So that was hitting me um, very badly. And I was crying in front of the doctors. And I, this doctor was so good, like when the moment he knew that I was breaking down, he was talking about a lot of positive things, like, it's not the end of the world. There are a lot of people who have survived this and they can do it, and you can do it too. So this was the first experience, when this was the first time I realized, oh, even I have cancer, you know,
Yeah.
and what
So,
do I need to do?
uh
That all that thought came into my mind, you know.
so within what span of time you got the second and the third attack?
In the year 2011, the timeline I would say is 2011 and 12, I had the first cancer. Um, it was cervical cancer. And within 9 months, a new growth. It was not even what you can say the metastatic or something. It it was not like that. It was a new growth in the new area. It was in the colon region that they found out a new growth, because I was having stomach ache, and I was throwing up continuously. Like, I could not even bear the pain. So when they took the scan, ultrasound, they told me that I have a new growth in the colon area. And then after that, I was, the same protocol was followed. In the first also, the same protocol was followed, like where after surgery, I had my chemo. radiation and brachytherapy. And in the second, after the second surgery, also it was followed only by, this time only by chemotherapy. And by the time after the second chemo doses got over, um, um, I found out about a doctor in Cochin, and I went for that, uh, for the alternative treatment. Okay, and in 2014 and 13 and 14, I got my third cancer. So it was in the rectum area.
So it was within a
So,
very short span of
so
time.
yeah, within a short span of time, I had these first, second, and third cancer,
Mm.
and the doctors in the US uh, told me um, that they will have to remove my colon and rectum and give me an ileostomy bag, which at that point of time also I did not realize what it was, having an ileostomy bag. What is ileostomy bag is nothing but they create an opening on the side of the stomach. There's a hole and there's the stoma that comes out. And through that, you have to, all your stools get collected in a pouch. And then every 1 or 2 days, you have to uh, uh, clean it and put a new one on. It was like that. And it so happened that after my surgery, my stoma, which was pulled out, it retracted inside. So it's just sitting on tip of the hole, kind of. This is the hole, and my stoma is sitting on tip. So it's like I have to do other things so that it functions. So it took a little over a year for me to get used to that stoma. Initially, it was really, really hard. I did not know what to expect with the ileostomy bag. Um, I just said, I have my life, then why should I worry about this ileostomy bag? I did not know at that point of time what I was getting into. So it was after I got my ileostomy bag, the day one onwards, it used to leak every hour, every hour. I used to have a nurse coming home. She would do it, and she would have stepped out of the house. It would leak. And many times I've called her home, and they used to get frustrated because they did not know how to handle this. And then I realized I need to go to the hospital and find a nurse who can, who's a ileostomy nurse and not just a normal nurse. Uh, the nurse who has specialized in dealing with such cases, like, the stoma nurses. So I found out a hospital which was little half an hour away from my house, and but my husband was willing to take me over there every time. Every once a week or twice a week, I would go there, learn how to deal with. We would try on different kinds of bags, and finally we found out that would fit for me. And and then she helped me in getting my supplies and orders from a company called Edge Park. These nurses and these hospitals have a tie-up with the ostomy supply company. So I got I took the membership and I started you know uh, getting my supplies from them. And it was really a life changing event for me, I would say. I learned a lot. It taught me patience even more. I won't say I was not patient in the first place. I was, I learned to appreciate a lot of things in my life after that. Even before that, I used to do, but then it hit me so hard that each moment I appreciated after that. Like, this is what I am. This is what you need to do in your life. Everything was you know it was, I don't know what to say.
It was a new life for you again, starting a complete new experience.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I would like to know, Mrs. Lakshmi, that, from the conventional method of treatment and approach, what made you come towards this more personalized lifestyle modification? Because, there are people who know about the importance of genetic predisposition in the entire process and how much it affects our life. But very few people know about the epigenetics, that is, how the environment really holds the capacity to switch on and switch off those genes in your body. And
Yeah.
by making small lifestyle changes, how you can create a big difference in your life. So how
Yeah.
did you come to know about this, and what are the changes that you started making once you were into this?
Mm. See, when initially when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, I was only 13, 13 and at 16. By 16, she passed away. At that time, I have seen only the conventional methods. Even there were uh, these kinds of like using epigenetic lifestyle methodology. I did not hear anything uh, like that. I um, did not know about that because at that point of time, my only thing was my mother has to get better. And you are a teenager. And you have in your teens, you know what you are like, you go to the hospital, take care of things, and then you move on with your life. Because I was a typical teenager. I was more into sports. I was more into studies, and I was taking care of a lot of things at the same time. I did not even think on those terms. But later on, when it hit me, um, even during the first cancer, also I did not know anything about epigenetic lifestyle modification, nor with my second cancer too. I did not know anything about the epigenetic lifestyle modification. But one thing I did was when I moved uh, to Hyderabad from California, uh, there was this library called Kaleidoscope in Hyderabad, where I met uh, my mentor and my coach, who happened to have a tremendous effect on my impact on my life as well as my children's life. Not only those mentors, the set of friends that I made in the library. I don't want to name. There are a few of them, a few friends who really were very close, who helped me. They were my support systems. Okay, and even before no, I did not know that I was making epigenetic lifestyle changes. When I went to the library, check out things for my daughters, they told me that they're conducting certain programs like NLPK. And since they knew that I was regular and I was also volunteering with them for, initially, they told me that they have this NLPK program, and can you come and join? And I said, no, I have my surgery coming up and I cannot join. And my mentor told me at that point of time, I clearly remember, you know what? Your mind has the power to change a lot of things. Do you know that? I said, I don't care. Like that was what I was telling within myself, but I did not have the guts to tell her that. And whatever it is, I'm not going to make any changes in my life because another change in my life means I have to do a lot of other things. Like, I did not want to rock the boat at that point of time. So I said no to her. And I said, after my surgery, you know what? I will come back to you. And after surgery, I went to her and I joined the NLPK course. I finished the course and I eventually joined the study group. And in that study group, you know what? I learned a lot of things. It shaped me as a person, the way I am now. Uh, you know, the first book that we read as a group was Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And in that they talk about how the mind has the power to heal anything and everything, and the mind what you think you can manifest. You
Absolutely.
know, those are the things that I learned. And even at that point of time, I did not believe. I would just do what she would tell me to do. That's all.
Mhm.
Okay. With conviction. See, anything that you do with conviction, like all that should be in alignment. Your mind, your the whatever you say and whatever you do, your actions, every all these three things should be in alignment with each other. That's
Absolutely.
when you think of certain things, it will manifest.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And because when you say certain things and you don't make changes in your
Mind.
thought process and in your action,
Right.
it doesn't work.
Change.
It doesn't
Because
work. That's
absolutely.
why many times what happens when people say, I was thinking like this, but nothing happened to me. Yeah, because of this. But we
Absolutely. You
all have to
have to
realize that,
work in all the
there
four
should be a
dimensions at the same time. That is when
exactly.
the change
Yeah.
actually starts manifesting. If you're not working
Yes,
in all the four dimensions, you are leaving a loophole somewhere.
exactly. So, through over these, by joining these classes, what happened was we started reading books, a lot of other books, self personal growth workbooks, like uh, Louis say I did journey, where this person 6 times I think she was diagnosed with cancer, or she had some 6 surgeries. Then that gave me the thing, I just have only 2 surgeries. I'm so dejected. Why? I know I can do it. And at that time, there was this person in Hong Kong named Anita Moorjani who had a near death experience. Okay. And she wrote a book in 2006. She was diagnosed with cancer, and she had a near death experience, and she came out of it, and she wrote a book called Dying to Be Me, which came out, which they published in 2012, right on spot when my second cancer struck me. Okay. That's when my mentor told me, why don't you read this book? And when I read that book, I was literally crying. you know I did not know what to say. When this person has gone into the deathbed, and she has gone to the other realm, and uh, she um, she came back. She had her choice to come back to life, you know, to take back her life and say, I am going to deal with my cancer. And she came back. And when she came back, how her cancer all she had tumors all over her body. Everything was spreading, and she was on a ventilator, and she passed away, and she came back. And the moment she came back, her within a week or so, the cancer disappeared. How did this happen? you know all that I learned from that book was loving yourself. We are so what you can say, uh, pleasing everybody else in our lives and taking care of others needs. We forget about our own self. We have to give ourselves, and we have to love ourselves unconditionally. When we love ourselves unconditionally, I don't think we do things that we won't do things to ourselves, like we won't treat ourselves very badly. That is the first lesson that I learned. Why? That's the first thing that I learned reading that book. And another book which also changed my perspective was The Power Within You. You have the power to take care of your future. You take care of your things in your life. You have can change things in your life, all that. And you won't believe, I am a very casual reader, not leader, sorry, reader. I never used to read any of these books, but now suddenly I'm reading anything that I am getting hold of. I'm reading, I'm implementing it in my life. And even while sitting for all these classes, I used to challenge my mentor a lot, by being stubborn. So she used to pinpoint to me things like, you need to change a little bit, you need to do this. She was hand holding me, and glad she did that, at that point of time. And I'm glad that I had another friend also who did the same thing for me. Like, they were hand holding me and taking care of me. And I used to think, what did I do in my life to earn such people in my life, and in such people in my life? What did I do in the previous birth that I got such people in my life? Sorry,
As they
I'm
say,
rewording it.
when
Okay.
life takes away something from you, it gives you much more.
Yeah.
It gives you much more.
Yeah. Yeah. And then slowly, when I started working on my mental thing, then I looked for, when by the time what had happened was my physically I was down. When my second, with all the treatments, brachytherapy, chemotherapy, I was always lying on the bed like a log. I would not even move. I would not be able to. It was hard for me because, and I was not eating properly. Nothing was going into my, uh, you know, I was not eating healthy, even though I had a cook. This is the irony in my life. I never had a cook, never had a servants to do my housework. Uh, Here I am. I have a cook. I have a driver. I have um, person who would come home and take care of things, doing all the house chores. And plus, that same person would sit by my side and she would say, "You had your chemotherapy. Now let's do this massage." I don't know what I was doing, but she would do that, the Maha Bringraj Tel. And my body would be like, there will be so much of heat coming out of my body with all that treatments. And she would diligently sit by my side and give me that massage kind of thing. And after that, it will cool my thing. And I was also doing simultaneously two two or three things, like, I used to drink that uh, Karela juice, because when I had my cancer, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes as well as hypertension. So somewhere I learned that I need to drink Karela juice on empty stomach. So I would try anything and everything, and I would instruct these people who were helping me throughout, um, that, do this for me. So I would like to eat this, do this for me, and they would do it. And this lady would sit beside me, take care of my, massaging, and she would, make sure that I have my medicines, because sometimes I would go to sleep without having my medicines. So she was very particular that I do everything. Amma, my Devudu, she will always say, because whatever she used to ask, I used to give her a lot. Like, I was not generous in giving and helping her out. She was going through her own battles with a lot of things. Okay. So I used to help her a lot. So in her own sweet ways, my Devudu, may Devudu, you have to be nice and you have to take care of your children. That was in her own sweet way. She used to take care of me. So, I used to sit and cry sometimes. What did I do that these people are there, And I'm not used to so many people helping me out, because I was always independent doing my stuff. Okay. I could not even accept that these are there. These are there in my life. And then when I had my cancer, I told you that I had my diabetes, type 2 diabetes, as well as my hypertension. So I knew that yogasanas and pranayama can reduce um, these things, like, hypertension and all. Somewhere I saw Dr. B.M. Hegde's, um, you know, uh, YouTube videos, and I was so impressed by him. Like, this doctor is challenging the conventional methodology, and I was so, wow, oh, can I do that? Let me try. And then when I was looking around, I found found an yoga teacher who would come home and train me in pranayama, all certain asanas, and Surya Namaskar and Chandra Namaskar, all these things. And he would specifically tell me to do certain asanas that would decrease my, sugar levels, and
Right.
certain asanas, certain breathing exercise for reducing my hypertension,
So
and
from
my movement
there
was not
onwards,
flexible.
right. So from
I
there
was like,
onwards,
see,
you
when
were
I
slowly
was
getting,
in,
You were
Yes,
slowly getting
but
exposed
not
to various
knowing that.
personalization, but you didn't know that you were
Yes,
actually
but I was
personalizing it. Yeah, but you were doing it
exactly.
unknowingly.
I was
Yes.
doing unknowingly, I was doing it. So this person would come home every day and you know, do early morning. We would do our asanas, and I used to practice, and that's when it gave me. I could not, after my surgery. I could not even sit like, you know, how you sit, like, you know, ground bed, like, you know, both your legs folded and all. I was unable to do so. The moment I started doing yogasanas or pranayama, lot of things started improving. My energy level suddenly went up. After 1 or 2 months, I would realize, like, I was sitting, my movements were becoming more flexible. And when I started doing Surya Namaskar, he would say, I would do it when the sun would rise. You know, when I'm doing that, the energy of the sun you would get, or I don't know. I believed that, and I started doing it. So um, when I did that, what happened was, like, slowly, the more and more Surya Namaskars I did, the more and more I was becoming flexible. And, you know, I got that energy and I would do things with my kids, you know. And for the first time in a very long time, because I was their first um, caretaker, you know, even they were growing up until 3, 4 years, I was their caretaker, taking them, doing things with them. They have only seen mommy in that role and nothing else. And now they are suddenly, they are seeing me lying on bed, going to the hospitals. They were very, they were very upset, and I don't know what they were going through, because they were very little. Okay. My younger one was 3.5, and my older one was closer to 5. So, you know, I don't know what was going in their mind, but then I would say, no. One thing I told myself was, I'm not going to die because I lost my mom. I don't want to go through the same, my kids need not go through the same thing that I went through in my life, because at every stage of my life, I would miss my mom. Because when I had my kids, if mom would be there, she would tell me this, you know, before marriage, when you're shopping for marriage, when we're getting married, when you're going into new family, when you move to the US, like, you know, wow, I'm doing very well in my life, but she's not there. No, that always, no matter what, your mom is your mom. You know, you will go through those feelings. So I told myself that I would not let my daughters go through that, and it would be like, mm, you know, they will see me as healthy as possible. And that was the thing, the sankalpa that you say in Sanskrit, okay, that I took for myself. And this is, um, I owe it to my family, my parents, my siblings, my husband, my kids, every one of them, my in-laws, every one of them. And I started working on myself. And then what had happened was, when I was doing these, making changes in both these areas, slowly things started working in my way. Like, you know, the people who were supposed, and I started becoming more empowered. Like when I did all these classes, it taught me a lot of things. For the first time in my life, I've said no to a lot of people. For that, I had a lot of backlash also, but it's okay, you know. Um, but it's okay, because I knew if I did not want to do a thing also, I would say yes to it, and I behind their back I'll be grumbling like, oh, I did not want to do it, all that. But this time I was like very clear in what I was doing, and that encouraged me more. And then what had happened was, our close friend, um, who was living in the next building, he had a function at his house, and his cousin had come with his wife, and this wife had throat cancer, and she had gone to Cochin uh, to one doctor, and he had treated. So when he knew that I was going through both cancers and the timeline, and they were all with us, like, because he used to visit us all the time, and he used to be, and he and that person and my husband were very close. They were tennis buddies, and they used to love these girls. So both husband and wife used to come home, and they said, to my husband, why don't you try this place in Cochin? Why don't you go there? And more than my husband, I was looking forward to it, because by that time I was so fed up with chemotherapy.
And by that
Because,
time, you also came to know the importance and significance of personalization.
yes, yes. And not at that time also.
Mm-hmm.
Not at that time also, because when I went to Cochin, like, I did not even check the doctor's credential, but I went there and
Mm-hmm.
I told him, like, when I went the first time, here is a man, gentleman, older gentleman, very smiling face, very pleasing face, a different doctor from the doctors I have experienced. This person never spoke to me about the first day. He told me, like, the first time you're coming, you have to stay for 10 days. I said, okay, let me go. And I pulled my kids out of school for 10 days and we went to Kochi. We stayed in the hotel. We stayed in the clinic itself. They had rooms on upstairs. So here we are, going there. And the first day I was there in front of him. I was wondering what he would say. He saw my reports, and I was thinking he would ask certain questions. But he did not talk about my disease at all. I was so surprised. He did not talk about anything. But he was analyzing. He saw my reports, and he was making his own, what you can say, impressions, whatever. He was making his own. Um, I'm not getting that word. Like, um, the
Observation.
doctor
She was doing her own
observation.
observation,
Correct.
but not the usual way that you have seen in past.
Exactly. You keep the usual doctor. When you go to the usual doctor, they'll have the stethoscope and they'll lie down and you do this. They'll check your tummy and they'll check your all this, right? And he was not doing any of those things. And there came another lady doctor, and she was also very, very pleasant looking people, you know. And he would talk about, how that was the first time I heard, like, we were talking, and generally we were talking, and then suddenly he said, you know and he talked about the what are the kind of treatment that I would be getting, and he said, from now on you should stop dairy because it's not good for you. Then he said, animals don't drink their uh, mother's milk, so why do you have to, the animals don't drink milk after 1 year. Only till 1 year they'll have their mother's milk, and after that they don't drink any milk. So similarly, why do you need to drink milk? You don't do, and it is not good for you, because it will also, you know have the sugar levels will increase, because there are a lot of impurities. Very, in a simple way he said that.
Inflammation also
No
can
matter
increase.
information, but not in a matter of fact.
Hmm.
Don't say don't do this, don't do that, nothing like that. In a matter of fact way he said it. So then I said, yeah, I'm ready to do anything. I did not know his credentials at that point of time. I did not know anything, but I just went with a gut feeling that I needed something more different than the chemotherapy or the radiation therapy, because by the time I was just tired. My body was so beaten up. I was so thin, and you could see the black marks all over there was discoloration all over my body. um Very frail figure. I was like that. And when I went there, and they had their own treatment protocols, and they started the treatment from the next day onwards. And before that they took my blood work. And then and I also was concerned about my daughters, so I said, why don't you do some vitamin therapy for them also? I asked. I remember asking him this. Why don't you check them also out? I said, okay. And then he took the, the blood test for my blood work for my daughter. And the moment they took my younger one's blood, she started screaming. She made a big ruckus in that thing because she was scared of needles and stuff like that. And she was very little at that time. So the another doctor who was observing, why are these people doing this? Why are they torturing the child like this? He did not know my background and all, why I am here, nothing. All this was going on, and I said, okay, no matter what, we are, whatever doctor says, we are going to follow this. We are going to make changes. And then after the 10 days, we got back home, and I went around shopping for organic stuff. That's when I realized what are the things that I had in my home. I removed everything and started, looking for organic stuff. And that's how, when Hyderabad goes green, they had this farmers, they had tie up with the farmers, and they were procuring things from the farmers. And so I changed the way we did things. Like, we started with juicing, and started including fruits. And I would do, eat before the sunset, and sleep properly, all that. I'm slowly, diet I'm changed, exercise I was already doing it, and I was also taking care of my social emotional things. And now when it came to diet, so I included more organic stuff, like, vegetables more, a steamed kind of vegetables. And I started looking into all these little things. What kind of oil? I grew up only using coconut oil. Unfortunately, after marriage, I changed. And in the US, there is this place called Costco. You get everything in bulk.
Mhm.
So I thought, the canola oil and the olive oils are the ones that's the best, you know, because you get it in bulk and it's cheap and you use all that. Later on, only I realized that these are the things that
It's
I
not good
should
for you.
not cook with.
Right.
Not good for me. Yes. And I went back to my basics of using coconut oil, because I
Mhm.
realized no matter what, my mother and all, I've seen her do tadka only at the end, not before. They
Mhm.
won't do the tadka in the
Right.
beginning. And little changes,
So it's
very
like you
subtle.
started slowly moving back to nature, back to your basics,
Exactly.
back to your
Yeah,
personalization. You started making
exactly.
small changes, which started making big differences.
Yes.
So I would like to know,
Yeah.
like, now that you are taking this conscious changes, you're making this conscious epigenetic lifestyle changes. What are the changes that you see now?
Oh my God. I have come complete. I'm off dairy for the past 10 years. Off of dairy and off of gluten, because the gluten, the way it was made, the way the wheat is made, and the way that they were using pesticides to grow these things, it had its own impact on my body. And after my ileostomy thing, only I realized that uh, I would not put anything and everything into my mouth. I would think twice, because I realized and that too, how I realized was, if I had certain things, certain foods, incompatible foods, um, if I had put, like, cooked spinach, which was kept for so many days, if I eat that, I had problems. And any leftovers or any bread, gluten thing, I put in my body, I cannot handle. And peanuts, you know slowly, uh, by doing the things I should not be doing, I did not know, but it was a trial and error thing, that I realized that these are the things that I need to avoid. So I started doing all that, slowly and steadily. I started, um, discarding things from my food. And I'm very happy that I did that, because I don't crave for anything, like,
You start
and
making healthy choices in life now.
making healthy choices also, right? So I cook fresh in the morning and evening. If it is there, it's okay. Otherwise,
Mm.
not take it more than one day.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So all that happened, my sleep, I would never compromise on my sleep.
Right.
And I always I had started writing when I was, making a journal, gratitude journal. What
Mm-hmm.
are the things that I'm grateful for? And we used to sing this song. I also read one book called Ho'oponopono.
Mm-hmm.
In that they say, I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. Okay. It's a Hawaiian method of healing. This I read when I had my second cancer. Okay, when I was into the surgery, she said, read Zero Limits, you'll be fine. It is a Hawaiian method, say these things. And I taught my kids also in this tune, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. So they would repeat it. Okay, and whatever I learned, those affirmations like, I trust the process of life to bring in that is for my highest good and greatest joy. Divine intelligence is guiding and protecting me. So every night we would chant this, and I would say my shlokas also. Okay. Most important thing that I forgot to tell you is I used to say shloka from Narayaniam when I had my first cancer. Like, that also helped me. Uh, that really, really helped me. Like, I know a lot of people won't believe certain things, but for me, I've always been spiritual, being spiritual in nature, and always uh, uh, thought that there is somebody higher than us who's taking care of us. If he has given us a problem, it is his duty to take me out of that. And I got all these things when I was in my lowest point of my life. So I just got back, quickly learned my lessons and quickly said, I need to do this for myself and I'm going to do it. So that was the only thing. And, you know,
Yeah. So,
it's
do
just,
you think that, if you would have known about this kind of holistic lifestyle modifications earlier in your
mhm,
stage, do you think you could have prevented the whole thing that has happened, the whole cancer
yeah.
scenario? And how do you think it would have helped you?
Yes, if I would have known, yes, I would have made changes. But um, I would say whatever has passed, has gone. And I don't want to dwell on the past, but then whatever is I can do now that I know that this has helped. I took it and my stride, and I said, yeah, I'm going to make these changes in my life, and then on I did, and I can see the changes now. Also, like, even if my daughter would come and give me certain things, I would say no, you know, like she would sometimes, Ma, let's go have a bagel. And I said, no, it's not suiting me. I won't do it. I have learned to I have learned by choice. At certain times, when you leave
Right.
certain things from your daily routines, what happens is you'll crave for those. That never happened
True.
with me. I left.
That never happened because you took a more holistic approach. I mean, you had that
Yeah,
control over your mind.
exactly. And
That is one.
also, whatever. Why do they? I also learn. I also feel that why craving happens in your body, because there is something lacking in your body. When you were feeding the
Mm,
right kind of nutrition, the right kind of
mm,
vitamins, and you were, because when in his nutrition also, in his clinic, in the Cochin's doctor clinic also, I was given those things that was lacking in my body, right? So when that was being taken care of, there was no need for me to crave for things. So, and then things fell into place. And then I was a person who would drink 12 times coffee.
mm.
Now I don't drink anything. Like I drink chai in the morning, but it would be a ginger kind of chai. Like it would be a, you know,
A
a
herbal tea
herbal
more.
kind of chai for me. So sometimes I call it the chukku kapi, mm, with all the
Mm-hmm.
herbs in it. I have that, and I've enjoyed it, and I don't miss having a coffee or
Right.
um, bagel or pizza. I don't crave for all those
Mm-hmm.
things in my life, and I stick to
So,
my,
have you also started?
whatever I grew up. Stick to the food
Right.
that I grew up with. You know, so
True.
that has helped me,
So,
and
you know
also
what?
being
This
positive. Mm,
changes, yeah, the changes that you have made in your life, like, have you also started taking the preventive measures for your daughters,
Yeah.
for your family members?
Yeah, I have done
Yeah.
for them. They say they're also in the same protocol. Like, whatever we do it together
Uh-huh.
as a family. So my husband and my
Mm-hmm.
daughters, all four of us. Okay. So
Mm-hmm. Right.
even if they sometimes, sometimes they'll say, Ma, and they're all teenagers now. So sometimes they have this, I want to eat this food. I want to eat that food. So I let them, enjoy it one day. Once a
Yeah.
week, we
Once in a while.
indulge. Okay.
Yeah.
They will indulge in certain things and I don't make a big deal out of it. Previously, I used to make a big deal because I was scared. I would say, oh, don't
Mm-hmm.
do this, don't do that. But now it's okay. They're teenagers. See, each one of us have come into this world with our own uh, things we have to experience in our lifetime. So I said, okay, no matter my job is whatever I learned in my life, I have to pass on to my kids, but then they have to lead their life
Their own
on their
way.
own, and they have to
Right.
experience their own things in their life. I Who am I to
I have a
control things
question
in their
here.
life? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
As you said about passing on, so I would
Hmm.
like to know, like, the things, the changes, these kind of small modifications that have
Hmm.
really helped you come so far and make such a big change. Did you share this lifestyle modification concept with people? Did you try to help people who are in your kind of a situation, and what was their response to it?
Yeah.
What
um
was their response, I would say, maybe few years back, and what it is like now?
so the people who are not affected, there were people also who are not affected. um but they would say like, oh, she did this because she's going through, that's why she's suggesting these things. So I've had those kind of responses also, but then a lot of positive responses also, because they would say your inspiration, the moment we talk to you we feel good about it. Those are the kinds of things that I used to get back. And one person also went to the same doctor even without chemo, and she broke all the records. Like, I am so happy for that. Even one person make their difference in their life. It gives immense joy to me. you know um you know but I used to have this thing also. Yeah, when I say certain things, so why are they not taking the why are they not taking the uh, steps to do these things? I used to get dejected also. But then I realized, who am I to control their things? All my stuff is like, I need to give them the information, I need to let go. I can't run their life.
True.
I can't do anything. All that I can do is, uh, um, you know,
You can
take
create
them
that
along and
awareness,
show
but
them
it
the
is
path.
up to them.
Okay.
Yeah, you can create that
Exactly.
awareness,
Exactly.
but whether
Yeah.
they take it or they don't, it is completely up to them. So
And
I would like to know this, that what would be your message to everyone from your own experience?
from my experience, I would say we have one life to live. Don't hesitate or don't postpone things to oh, when this happens I will do this work. No, don't do all that. Live in the moment and enjoy whatever we have in our life, be grateful for what we have in our life, uh, you never know what the other and somebody else is going through. There may be somebody else who do not have these things. Because in my case itself, I would look back and see my mother did not have these resources to take care of her. She did not, see, my dad was in the bank, and whatever we were supporting others also. We had, my joint family system, and my father had his own parents to take care of. My mother's siblings, a few of them were at home at that time. And eventually they all went to live with their brothers. So, but um, uh, we did not have much funds at that for her treatment also. So when my turn came to, you know, I am thankful to God that um, I had the money to do whatever treatment I could afford, whatever I could afford. And I had so many people around me to take care of me.
Right.
And there is a support system, and there is this group who's hand holding me and taking me along, like my
Mhm.
study group. She never had those people. She would have had a lot of things in her mind to share with people, right? She never had
Right.
those. So we have to be very, very grateful for what we have. We have to be very grateful for what we have in our life at every moment. We have only this moment, and let us enjoy. And and sometimes now also my husband would tell me, like, you talk all these big things. No, if when you do only, you'll know. Because I was there already.
Yeah,
He comes from a different perspective, but I am coming from what I went through.
true.
For me, even when I go into the, uh, uh, for me, what had happened, I seen when they were used to wheel me into the surgery room. I don't know what will happen, right? There was that fear of death in me at that
You
time.
have
So when
seen
I've
death
gone
so
into this
close. Yeah.
close, so when I went into those things, and when I came back, and I'm saying, like, you know what, I'm not going to worry about little things in my life, and consciously I would uh,
Make the right
stay away
choices.
from people or stay away from things that would really upset me
True,
you
true.
know
That's important.
and previously I used to get sucked into all those things
Mm-hmm.
very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Now I said, no, now I consciously come out of it.
That's
What is it that I want to do in my life? Is this what I want in my life? If it is not, I will say goodbye and just walk away.
great.
And I know there will be a lot of backlash, but it's okay. And another thing is have the trust, faith, and surrender completely to the higher up. When then knowing that you will be taken care of. So it's not that when you get something bad, you let go of that faith and surrender. That's what we always do. That's the human tendency.
Right.
That I did that for myself. Oh, what, God, nothing. Why is he giving me so much trouble? All that I used to say, I used to blame myself. I
But
used to
today you
blame
are a
people around.
completely new
So I
person.
stopped all that. When that happened, yeah. So things fell into place. So that's all. That's the message that I can give to people. And you know what? I'm glad I'm here. I'm talking to you, and I'm able to share. Hope people can take things, whatever, you know, experience that I went through. Um,
Absolutely,
Nobody should go through
absolutely.
it. And,
It was
and
indeed a pleasure to
they
have
learn a
you
little
here.
bit from me.
It was indeed a pleasure to have you
Thank
here.
you. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for sharing your story so beautifully and taking this time out. And you know what? I feel very happy and glad that now doctors are also welcoming such a concept, which is little different from the conventional way of approach. But
Yeah.
here they are welcoming such kind of a approach where we are talking about holistic healing system, lifestyle
Yeah.
modifications, genetics and all of these things, because everything has to coexist, and that is when we can make a healthier and a happier world. And I believe that your
Yeah.
story will create an awareness among people about all such kind of possibilities that are there. And I'm sure you are an inspiration for
Yeah.
so many people. So more and more power to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anu, for giving me this opportunity. I'm glad I could share whatever I remember from my experience. Okay. Previously, I would like to say this. Like previously, when people used to ask me, share your story, I would sit and cry. I would not have that guts to even open up and talk.
Mhm.
I would finish my crying and then, you know, I would talk about it. But then I would choke in between also. But then now, I've come to a space where I'm okay to share my story with the whole world.
Today you're setting an example
And
for
and I'm
people.
glad that I could get certified myself as a health coach. So I'm understanding even more, even better how things work, how
Right.
things are, uh, you know.
So
So
thank you.
thank you so much, and
Thank you.
glad to s- speak my
Thank you so much.